Thanks, Convener.
Karen Adam.
Thank you, Convener. This would have an impact on mobile gear fishers, and I'm just wondering how you propose to mitigate or compensate them for that.
So personally, I can think of lots of mechanisms whereby we can mitigate, and to some degree compensate. So mitigate, I would suggest that the increased capacity for more creel boats in the inshore would create an opportunity for some people to transition, so that would be a mitigation to some extent. For those who either didn't want to or were unable to transition, I think we would have to look at some sort of compensation. Traditionally in the fishing industry we use mechanisms like decommissioning. We speculated in our 2017 proposal at the Scottish Inshore Fisheries Conference, where we suggested the 3 mile limit in the first instance, that you could start with a base figure of about £100,000, which would reflect the value of an under 10 metre trawler, and would be at least the minimum that you would have to contribute towards facilitating these guys to maybe go out and buy a creel boat. Now, that produced a range of outcomes depending on how many boats would be requesting this type of compensation, and the figures were between £10 and £15 million. And I think we should contextualise that the Scottish Government have committed £14 million recently to incentivise new entrants into the fishing industry. And it's not working very well, because nobody wants to go into a fishing industry that's unsustainable and in decline. If we want to bring new entrants to the fishing industry, that £14 million would have been far better spent creating opportunity within the inshore.
That's great. If I could just come back in there. And obviously, I mean, we're talking in an economic sense here, and we're talking about compensatory in a fiscal way. But there's also a lot of history, culture, heritage that comes along with that. And, you know, even talking about the, I suppose, the attachment that people have to that life and possibly family history as well. From that side of things, what sort of compensatory or mitigations could be in place for these people?
And I think the question has to be, you know, we're starting with the wrong question. The question is, how do we achieve good environmental status? That is our legal obligation. How do we, under the Sustainable Development Goals, UN Sustainable Development Goals, which we're signed up to, we have to fish within maximum sustainable yield. How do we achieve that? And under those same United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 14b, we have to incentivise small-scale and artisanal fisheries. We have to show how we're going to do that. If we show how we're going to achieve good environmental status, incentivise low-impact fishing and fish within sustainable limits, and also take an ecosystems approach. These are all commitments that we already have. If we have to demonstrate how we're going to achieve that. In fact, it's incumbent upon the Scottish Government to demonstrate how they're going to achieve that. Then at that point, we can look at comprehensive inshore fisheries management plans, and maybe we can identify who the beneficiaries and the victims are going to be, and we can start discussing compensation. But I think if we're going to discuss compensation at this stage, you've put the cart before the horse, because at the moment we don't know who we would be compensating. We don't even have fisheries management plans that tell us where we're over capacity and where we're under capacity. So we really have to start by developing comprehensive inshore fisheries management plans that would allow us to deal with spatial squeeze, achieving good environmental status, and so on and so forth.